This is Jamarl Thomas, and welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, you guys have heard me make an argument before that people are policy. When you don't necessarily have the ability to see how a person is going to govern, one of the things you can look at is who they're putting into that role. Because understand, who they put into that role, they're being invested with the responsibility of carrying out their vision. I can't be in 5 places at once. However, if I can find somebody who I agree with, particularly within the field that I'm hiring them for, I'm going to put them in that position. The CIA's new deputy director ran a black site for torture. So, Washington Post, Greg Miller, and this is from The Intercept, by the way, Glenn Greenwald. So in May 2013, the Washington Post, Greg Miller, reported that the head of the CIA's clandestine service was being shifted out of that position as a result of a management shakeup by then Director John Brennan. As Miller documented, this official, whom the paper did not name because she was a covert agent at the time, was centrally involved in the worst abuses of the CIA. As Miller put it, she was directly involved in its controversial interrogation program and had an extensive role in torturing detainees. Even more troubling, she had run a secret prison in Thailand, part of the CIA's network of black sites, where 2 detainees were subject to waterboarding and other harsh techniques. The Senate Intelligence Committee's report on torture also detailed the central role she played in the particularly gruesome torture of detainee Abu Sabdaya. You know, the sad part is, once they started to review what the CIA was doing and the people that were torturing, she destroyed the tapes. There were many tapes that she got rid of because she realized that if those things saw the light of day, and look, to be honest, even if they did see the light of day, probably nothing would have happened. They went into a country. They killed upwards of 1 million people in that country. They went into that country on the basis of a lie. They started torturing people to try to create a link between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. Because they realized, holy shit, there are no weapons here. The next administration, when they came in, we're looking forward, we're not looking backwards. We're looking forward. What is your responsibility as the President of the United States? And does that responsibility have something to do with addressing the concerns of the prior administration? Meaning, they spent $6.6 trillion on a war. They got 3,000 to 4,000 Americans killed in addition to the upwards of 1 million people, and destabilized the region. If I get caught with a bag of pot in my car, I may go to jail. These guys killed hundreds of thousands of people, and they just walk. The president comes in and doesn't do squat. You can't be shocked that the next Republican administration, after the prior one, was able to get away with a gross torture regime. They asked Bush, did he okay torture? He said, I said, damn right, I okayed it. You've just admitted to a war crime. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you admit to a crime? And everybody's like, oh, no. Obama, when he came out, Obama gave a speech. I think he went to the White House briefing room. And he says, we tortured some folks. Why are you being folksy? Like, why are you belittling the fact that this government was taking human beings, putting those human beings in cages, and brutally assaulting those human beings to try to get information out of them? That's not a time to be folksy. That's a time for you to do your damn job and push the Justice Department to investigate what the hell went on in the previous administration. But you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to get your hands dirty into something like that. So now that you've lost, or that Hillary Clinton lost, your party has lost, and the next Republican has come in, and there was no consequences at all for the previous Republican that was in office, that decide to spend $6.6 trillion on a goddamn wild goose chase. If this is what our government is going to get back into doing. And look, even in Obama was still renditioning people. He was still dropping them off the places that were torturing. So look, whether you're doing it or whether you're giving it to somebody else who's doing it, I have a hard time distinguishing the difference between those two things. Both of them are gross. And the idea that he's putting this woman in a position, oh man, at the very least it gives you an idea of where their head is. It absolutely gives you an idea where their head is. Otherwise, this woman would not get a role in anybody's administration. And if anything, this woman should be in prison. So, the woman's name is Gina Haspel. The CIA's name, whose torture activities the Post described, is Gina Haspel. Today, as BuzzFeed Jason Leopold noted, CIA Director Mike Hapel announced that Haspel was selected by Trump to be the deputy director of the CIA. What are your values as a nation? I mean, because understand, at this point, these values are just being peeled away. You can't say we have the best elections in the world. We don't. Our election process is absolutely abysmal. We don't even know if the election is legit. You can't say we have the brightest minds in the world. You can't say we have the best ethics in the world. You can't even say we have the moral high ground. We've been murdering people in a terrorism, flying killer robots. And now, to the other depravity, we're bringing back in torture. Because the first time we were torturing people, apparently it wasn't good enough. And apparently these guys get a kick out of it. Oh, we get to hurt people, yes! We get to hurt people! Oh, love hurting people. You people are fucking sick. You are. All of you are sick. All of you should be in prison. And god damn it, Obama should have prosecuted these people, at the very least put the Justice Department up to interview what the hell took place. You had all the levels of government. White House, Senate, House of Representatives. And even if you make the argument that, well, no, because if I did that, I wouldn't have been able to get Obamacare passed. Newsflash, Obamacare is about to die. And not just die, you're leaving a legacy that allowed Donald Trump to put people in power where they can resume torturing other human beings. Did you know that some of the people they tortured died as they were torturing them? They literally tortured people to death. Our country, paid by your tax dollars. Well, good job, Obama. Thanks, Obama. Now we have to deal with this shit again. And you don't think that torturing people foments terrorism? You hear all these guys always complaining, oh, Snowden is a terrorist. Snowden gave up information. Oh, he's getting our troops hurt. You don't think torturing people where they can show your face and say, look at these devils. I told you they were infidels. They are out there torturing people. We are righteous. We're God's army. Yes, they're batshit crazy. But if you can make an argument, or they can give you evidence to say, look, they're just as bad. And they can give that evidence. Because at the end of the day, you guys were torturing people. Again, some of which you tortured to death. So, hope you're proud of yourself. Good job. Thanks, Obama.